Check, check, check. Okay, there we go. And then... I'll make sure... Console... Sorry, just making sure everything's working all right. Okay. All right. Yes. So, hello. Sorry about that, everyone. Hello to everyone who may or may not be here. Welcome back to the stream where we play non-violent games. Games that reward the player for intellectual and or emotional engagement rather than for engaging in combat or other kinds of violent gameplay loops. We are back with the Great Ace Attorney 2 today. And I'm excited to be here. Sorry I missed you all on Tuesday. I have a new class on Tuesday nights that goes, like, I have to leave right at the time I usually start to stream on Tuesdays. So I have to figure out what I'm doing there. Alright. 2nd of November, 3:38 p.m. Shums' Suite. I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Virgil was taken to hospital to recover. Right. "10 years ago now, Mr. Virgil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Oh man, we didn't know that information last time. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family. Not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Bruno! Oh. Iris. You are miles away. Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh, huh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he had disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's Oh, sorry. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well enough alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley after all. I suppose that's a lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue in our investigation. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing is increasingly clear. Lord Van Zieks definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody! Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development, too. Chasm. Excuse me. Sorry. Coach a little today. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Virgil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see. What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so. But curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks, though, aren't there? Oh, do you mean... I mean what he was doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place. Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office. Ooh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the red-headed thief the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the red-headed leak that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It it was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my, yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies.
Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson...
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Virgil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one?
Ah, it's St. Sinners.
I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down.
But that's amazing, Bruno. You have found the lady's husband already.
Well, I suppose I have. By accident.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Virgil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No!
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Gregsy? But why?
I have absolutely no idea.
Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Bruno.
I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me.
That means he has ties to the Professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Sinners, then.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting irons will set them straight.
That water pistol?
It's stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine. Then I'm quite sure it will be very effective.
I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out. Yes.
Yes. Yes and yes. Yes. Yes and yes.
Yeah. Let's go to prison first. That could mean many things, but we mean we're just visiting someone. 2nd of November, local prison, cell 1.
Lord Van Zieks is reading. Look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. What do you Nipponese want? That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Miss Nada?
Lord Van Zeeks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see, yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of... For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? The henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization.
Huh? It's a whole organization?
It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved.
Someone at... You can't mean...
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson.
No!
Gregson? The Reaper? So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization.
I don't believe it. Are you saying that that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there?
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Oh.
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi. Which is where Mr. Virgil came in, posing as the inspector. Virgil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings, then. Actually, I do have a name.
You what? Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already, then.
Or if I can name the woman.
Oh.
She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Wait,
what? Shin?
Miss Asa Shin. The true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan. I forgot that was her real name. Completely. I completely forgot that. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey?
Miss Nardo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss.
No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father.
Asa Shin. I should let father know at once.
Yes, I agree. So, I guess the reason she went to Japan, well, I mean, there may have been multiple reasons, but one of the reasons was probably to get out from the heat. I don't mean literally, I mean, something was probably closing in on her. You know, someone was figuring out her role in all of it. And she probably wanted to go across the sea. Or, you know, go to Japan. I don't know if it's across the sea. But she wanted to go to Japan to get, you know. Yeah. Well, either that or... she went specifically to murder John H. Wilson. You know, we really need to tell Iris about that. It's gonna come out eventually. And she's gonna be very, very upset that it was kept from her. You know, we've committed several times to telling Iris the truth now. And, this is something that we haven't told her about the truth yet. And that's gonna have to happen. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father, Genshin Asogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a... Excuse me. Whoa. We're walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden, "Don't make a pipe, you'll come with us." We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. "Hey, it's Van Zink's alright, we got him." I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come, if I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was Azugi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Let me try that again. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor.
How awful for you.
All at once I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Thank you for confiding in me.
The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are.
I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper. Giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett.
Miss Nardo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray!
Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Second of November, room on Fresno Street. Yeah, nothing here. Oh shoot, I forgot to update the Twitch information. Shoot. Shoot. Sorry. Stream info. Shit. Shoot, 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 shoot. Sorry. Okay. I hope that, works. I hope that works. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, folks. Okay. It's updated, but it's also kind of too late now. But, here we are, I guess.
In some ways, this place seems to rather suit Lord Vincent. Oh dear, did I say that out loud?
2nd of November, St. Sinners Hospital, Ward 3. These must be the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Tendency to jump from windows. Remember to place cushion at the base of wall outside. Aren't we a story up from the ground here?
Oh dear. Poor Mr. Vigil.
I can't help feeling that there's a better solution to the problem than a cushion, though. Finding something you'd lost isn't always a happy experience, it turns out. Pursuing the truth can be a very dark business sometimes, can't it?
Yes, I'm afraid it can.
There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look. I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this.
Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try some of the pills.
Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors.
I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock.
Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. This notice caught my eye before, actually.
I suppose it's some sort of slogan for the ward. A cheerful welcome message, perhaps.
Let's see. Pay with good cheer, leave with good cheer. Well, look at that. You were spot on, Mrs. Sato. It is full of cheer.
I wonder how many discharged patients pay their medical bills with good cheer, though.
Hey, Bardock! Wait, why isn't... Oh, man. Come on. Witchcraft. What do you mean? Oh yeah, that. Yeah, I'm dealing with that right now, because I noticed it as well. To everyone who can't see the stuff in the text box, because, well, that's what we're fixing right now. That's what I'm referring to, and that's what we're fixing. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about this, folks. Let's see, let's see, hold on. Sorry about this again. Oh, oi, oi, oi. Okay, let's give it a moment and see if it fixes itself now that I've adjusted the settings. Right now it obviously hasn't, but hopefully it will. Hopefully. And hopefully it's just taking a second to adjust the settings. Sorry about this, folks. Alright. We'll just see what happens, right? Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Nope. Yeah, no, this isn't. I thought maybe if I could. Nah, it's not working. Alright, yeah, we'll give it a few minutes, see if anything happens. But it also might just not work today, and that would suck, but it's not the end of the world. What I will do, though, is I'll turn off the chat box background, as long as there's no, actual chat going on. It's just kind of distracting at that point. So, there we go. Once I had to have a very painful injection when I fell ill with a cold. I felt awful already, so why did I have to suffer the sting of the injection as well as the bill? I yelled at the doctor. Oh dear, what terrible treatment. Yeah, very few people like shots. Patient treatment notes. What do these say, I wonder? Endlessly obliging. I suppose it's referring to the patient in this bed. I would think so. And until Mr. Virgil is a little more stable, it's probably just as well that he's a kindly person in the neighboring bed. endlessly part is a little worrying, though, isn't it? I mean, what if Mr. Vigil suddenly declared that he'd like to take a trip out the window? Would this endlessly obliging patient simply open it for him and say, "Be my guest"? Oh, alright, Bardock. Thanks for dropping by. See you later.
Let's check with the doctor later.
There are lots of bottles in there. Do you think it's safe to keep them there?
If you were a patient here, I feel sure you would take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep.
That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well.
There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mrs. Otto.
Oh, look, a pair of crutches.
Before we came to Britain, I hadn't realized they were used here as well.
I imagine they were imported into Japan from Great Britain in the first place.
Oh, so no one in all of Japan broke a leg before their arrival? Anyway, the sight of these things doesn't bring back good memories for me.
Oh dear, did you injure yourself once and need to use some?
When I was little. Although I thought they looked fun, so I borrowed a pair to play with. But then I slipped and sprained my ankle.
I see.
They contain powerful magic, those wooden staffs. The power to heal and the power to harm.
I think a certain cheeky little boy managed to cause the harm all by himself.
Oh, the chat box is working. Woohoo! Okay, it just took a couple minutes to refresh and fix itself. That's good. That's good. Good. Sorry, sometimes I don't know where the camera is, and so I use my hands, and then it's like, oh, you can't see my hands. Anyways, 2nd of November, Great Waterloo Hotel Foyer.
I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely.
It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow, too.
My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though, wouldn't you say?
Ah, look who we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. I'm assuming that's... yeah.
Ah, Father! Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely!
What a charming young lady. And you are? Ah, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, are you?
That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know.
Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest.
Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father.
Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes. You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Norolo. It was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery, after I twisted some arms. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Huh, well, thank you very much. Well, I'm fairly sure you omitted by chasm on the other end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really?
You didn't miss a step against Asugi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary.
It's very kind of you to say so. And really nice to hear.
Okay. So, what I saw in court today confirmed what I've been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, no, I trust you haven't forgotten.
Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you?
But first, we have something to report, Father.
Of course, of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further?
Wonder where Judge Chikoku is gone to.
Okay, that's better.
Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Valley?
Well, I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge.
Right, he didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students had already returned home.
Lord Van Zeeks Lord Van Zeeks who was in the dock today. That was Barak, the younger brother of Clint Van Zeeks, I believe.
That's right. And he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all of those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else.
I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here.
Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact.
I beg your pardon.
Did you say Asa Shin? You mean that Giselle Brettwoman was responsible for killing my great friend?
Oh no, a friend of yours was killed.
Professor Mikitoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Oh, this is gonna blow up in your face so much. Just so much. Keeping it from her for this long.
I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes. You just try to leave me behind.
So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she?
Yes, that's right.
And she's the author of all those adventure stories saw in the great detective shows. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see.
Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial University 4 years ago.
But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would they have the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father.
Well, I can't see that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner.
So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think?
Well, John and Wilson are both common names, after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure.
That's what we thought, yes.
We're back with cinnamon biscuits.
Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris.
I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here. Don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you?
Guilty! Ha 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 ha! No, that is not the voice I gave him.
To determine whether he was
Guilty! That guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose as the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore at the Great Exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself.
Ah, yes. It was all tied up with that accursed trial.
Closed trial of Kazuma's father.
Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand.
Oh my!
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged.
Oh dear. Although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that.
Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
Thank goodness.
Ah yes, talking of Seishiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please.
Oh, what a lovely picture.
Certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain." It entered into the court record.
None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No, that's so true.
So you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me.
Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long.
And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. You want me to do what?
What?
You want me to do
What? Father, what's the meaning of this?
Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really, quite urgently, in fact.
But I've not even been in London a year yet.
I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruto, are precisely the man our country needs.
So, you'd be leaving then, Reno? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father?
You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant.
Oh, yes. She's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant.
Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also.
Father.
Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes.
Yes. All right.
You won't leave? Will you, Rona?
Thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just tried to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so... where does that leave me?
excuse me now. I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Shin.
Of course, Father. Thank you.
I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson.
Oh, good. And please do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you.
I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naharu. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will.
Going back home.
You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this.
Yes, no doubt. Asa Shin, who's this? Of course, it's so obvious. Asa Shin! Of course, it's so obvious! How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Ah, Mr. Sholmes!
Hurley, where have you been?
Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question.
I didn't notice you at all.
No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Mr. Arno. Oh, yes. I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust this task? Quickly now, who?
Ah, well, my father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau in Japan himself.
I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow.
I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes.
There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see this is sent.
I will, but what is it?
No questions at this time, if you please, Mrs. Otto. All we can do is pray that for once my deduction is awry. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly. Now then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us for tea meant. I leave the sending of this in your hands, my dear Liz.
Ah, wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes. He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too.
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab, straight away.
And there was me, thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Jones's bill. He really is Phoenix's ancestor. Always left with the bill. Second of November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Professor Asugi. No, that's not Strongheart. What's Strongheart?
So, entering for a great city.
No arguments, Prosecutor Asugi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly.
It's Kazuma-sama.
Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. Neither do you. On your way now, Asugi. On your way now, Asugi. My lord. Kazuma. He left without saying a word.
Yes? What are you doing here?
Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeke's trial concluded today, but Prosecutor Asugi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43... Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Miss Allen. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. He literally just got done saying that Kazuma didn't know when to back down, and then he's like, I can't wait for his bad mood to go away. I need information. Does Prosecutor Asugi believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. That's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Valley. And people believe Lord Van Zeeks was responsible? He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professors? The trial of Virgil Asugi? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zeeks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. The son of the man Van Zeeks had condemned, now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is? I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all these gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something with which you need concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I have been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes? I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asugi? Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. It
Let's go to see him at once, Mr. Naruto.
Kasuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. 2nd of November, Prosecutor's Office. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Asogi now, is it?
Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself.
Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor, Japanese style, in that dark corner.
It's his habit to sit style whenever he's working.
Kazuma. I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ranosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I?
Sorry?
That you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for one second that it would be as a prosecutor.
Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom, so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama. I'm truly happy for you.
And I am truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ranosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. Hasusada-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jikoku, and about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ranosuke. As you wish, Ranosuke. It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Burya. We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain, when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. We were already suffering from amnesia at that point. Yes, I didn't know what had happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something you have to do. Something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port.
It must have been Hong Kong.
Yes, it must have been. Oh, yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain.
Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realize now that I escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course.
Oh, how terrifying for you.
Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose? That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. A formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I'd moved heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zeek's apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard, and by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend the meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play.
Would that have been your knowledge of the law?
Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Drebber. Yes, I did. Ever since I first met you, Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ranosuke. I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago. When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. What I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father's summer son.
Oh my.
Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd told me.
Oh.
Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it, assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asui name.
Oh no.
As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. Whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem.
But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing?
There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree.
Well, what did my father have to say about the letter?
I couldn't bring myself to show it to him.
What? Why not?
Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jigoku. To the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments. But then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his voice. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind. One day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. The truth about my father, Genshin Asugi. And I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way.
Kazuma-sama.
What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Renosuke Naruto. Lord Vantiques isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was. It's clear that the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What?
You mean you knew?
The real question is who's been giving orders to the Inspector. Yes, Barak Van Zieks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave.
No, he was merely saying that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame.
Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool they use to do it. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life.
Kazuma.
On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper.
Kazuma, what do you make of this?
There's only one place where defense lawyers and prosecutors should discuss evidence. The courtroom. So it seems you are still confused by the situation. That's what I make of it. I get the feeling that my friend's always going to have the edge over me, isn't he? Second of November, St. Sinners Hospital, Ward 3. This is the ward where Mr. Vigil...
Oh, this is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again.
Ah, the lawyer. Hello again.
Wait, hold on.
The times were hard in London.
Oh, the lawyer. Hello again.
Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil?
Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to... And it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd so obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. We just missed him. Oh, Kazuma beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. The truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well.
You mean about your dismissal?
Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Virgil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deceptions, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me! I swear it! I swear it's true!
Oh, Mr. Virgil.
I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. He tells us the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. He'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf. Oh no, never! Common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression. So everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here.
So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident?
Yes. They asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence.
But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters.
Yes. So you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and being generally loud. That's what the inspector asked me to do. Yes.
Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, though, I suppose. Not a good one, though.
As you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept up their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however. We had arranged to meet in the prisoner's state room at 5 that day, so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th of June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. Hold on. Whoa, wait. Why did that... but the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather... Oh, hold on. Oh, shoot, that was why. It's that stupid, the button that gets stuck sometimes, it automatically skipped past these. Because the system was registering that I was pressing A, even though I wasn't.
Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was.
Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned.
I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went to the mortuary to find a lone coffin, as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut.
No!
I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So you mean the coffin contained... Yes, I can only imagine that Asbury, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery.
Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long.
So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set tension free.
But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder?
I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. I thought we couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean, in gymnastics.
Yes.
I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it?
It was a time of delicate diplomacy, when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly.
The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cellars until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. The following day, a closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Something unusual? What? The last will and testament of Genji Nasugi. As I said, it was on the night following his trial, after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asugi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, his last will and testament, then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true. But there were special conditions in Asugi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy. But at the same time, he was a guest in our country on the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper. So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what happened to him. Yes, that was the long and the short of it. I have no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline.
If we're gonna have more of this, I thought there would only be like a line or something from him, but there's gonna be more apparently. So let's see.
Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But I know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet. Alright then. But what's on that paper? My last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without trace. What? What do you mean it vanished? It would seem that is the end of the story of this mysterious will. Of this mysterious well. I was the only person who saw Asugi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Asugi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Asugi's possessions that were in his cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects? The will, I mean. That's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Kaiten was livid. He was screaming, "It can't have disappeared completely!" That doesn't quite make sense, Steph, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Virgil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh yes, you're right! I really don't know how he knew. It certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asogi Papers. The Asogi Papers? I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal, and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case then. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it all with us, Mr. Virgil. We're very grateful. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... No, not at all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. I'm so sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Virgil. Ah! But before you go, there's just one thing. Oh, yes? What is it? The Asogi Papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I've told you about. Presumably for some good reason? It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Some sort of a will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death. Which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape? If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Kazma's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay Prison. Sure we've asked everything we need to, huh? Okay, let's go back to Kadama then and see what else we can ask him. Maybe we have to look around. This Lord Van Zeke's is an incredibly stylish desk. It's not my style, though. No, I noticed you've been working at the little table on the floor, kneeling down Caesar style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zeke's when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple of minutes sitting with my legs folded under me, they start to go tingly. Don't exaggerate, Rinosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute.
Lord Van Zeke's fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles, all neatly lined up. Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regimen for everything, from the storage of the casks to the bottling of their contents. Gosh, he must be having a really tough time of being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh? He's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about weird.
What the...
It's a scale model of the crime scene.
Oh, yes, I realize that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case?
Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that.
Do you know who the man in the portrait is?
Why would I?
What? But you're Lord Van Zeke's apprentice.
Yes, apprentice, not friend. During the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture.
Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture.
I wouldn't have the first idea what the man decorates his office with.
Certainly seems like it's probably his brother Clint. Casks floor to ceiling, just like the last time we were here. Hallowed barrels, I suppose.
They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. Every week, they're all taken out and put back in order.
What? Every week?
Lord Van Zeeks can't seem to settle on the perfect way of arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide, that's the trouble.
Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge.
Actually, no.
Oh?
He considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else, so he does it entirely on his own.
So he's a barrel laughs here and in court then. So, Okay, well let's go talk to the governor and maybe we can get some piece of evidence or something we need to show the chasm or something like that. 2nd of November, Barclay Prison, Governor's Office.
Oh, back again, are you?
Hold on, let's, oh, didn't record a voice for it. Huh. Alright.
Oh, back again, are you? Oh, back again, are you?
Yes, hello.
I heard all about your investigations. I read the reports just now. You found me. Vigil.
Yes, luckily.
Well, anyway, Laddie does no work in it no more. So your case has nothing to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to to get the wrong idea about that. Of course, yes, Mr. Virgil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so...
Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was for the trouble.
Hey, Kimmer. You can very well. So, how about we handcuff Beastgate?
Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And as hard as irons, too.
So, what's brought you down here today? So, what's brought you down here today?
Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually.
Is that so?
We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asobi's cell. I think it's been called the Asobi Papers or something?
Dine of say. Greg's death is not to do with things that might have happened in Barclay. Leave the past in the past, laddie. No, let's not fuck around with irrelevant details.
His expression's changed completely.
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't. We're clearly onto something here. That murder is bullshit execution, and the whole miserable escape. Hell, Barclay's darkest hour. Shocking embarrassment.
Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean?
Aye, for shame. Coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution caught his sight. And my chief warder at the time, Virgil, who was in charge of the whole affair.
But Mr. Virgil says he didn't know anything about it.
Ask a witness, say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs?
Oh, how could I say no? You could never have too much iron in your diet. When Mr. Virgil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he?
I didn't like to say, but that's just Virgil trying to get rid of it. Do you not think he wouldn't have jumped out the window over the shopper's crime being exposed, eh? I do. You wouldn't say otherwise, though, would you? Of course, I cannot show all the responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, there's barely anyone who obtains went home all the time there. But Grigson hadn't been murdered, and Dr. Cypher didn't prevent any visitors. No visitors? Someone obviously doesn't want it giving anything away.
Well, we're not going home empty-handed.
I like to read, said you happy with Don Killer. Here, take a handcuff or two.
Oh, well, it would be rude of me to say no. Wouldn't want to become an alien.
I suppose, if there's anybody who likes to kill a boot what had happened back then, it'd be that last from the forensic division, Maria Gorey. Maria Gorey? Aye, Sykes' daughter. She didn't have no more, just the one. But the wee parents followed in her man's footsteps. He didn't ever see her without a scruple in her hand.
Ah. Mama, what is this?
Ah, where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Sykes' daughter, Maria Gorey. We could do with talking to her. So, she's Dr. Sykes' daughter, but her surname is Gorey?
Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure. But I ain't any ins and outs of it. She grew up watching a man work with the boys of the folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I can understand it myself.
Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother.
Perhaps. Anyway, she was in charge of Gregson, what's up to you, I believe.
Right, the coroner responsible for this incomplete report.
Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her man's stories about cold bodies. There's even a rumour that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby.
Well, then perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago.
Hey, I'd say there's a fighting chance at least.
After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. You really need to speak to Miss Gore yourself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm not happy about any part of this. It took years for one of us to finally forget the old professor business. Can you not get up in this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry. I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you not just stay away now? Leave me alone. Did I come back yet, eh? How did you come to get about that, laddie? There's no many folk even here in prison who've heard of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell Mr. Virgil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe the papers are actually the last will and testament. Is that right? The professor's, or rather, Genasity's. That's right. You're well informed, Ginny. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then, after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Heavens no. You're off at half cock there. I think you did quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we heard elsewhere. Hey, just a wee look around here. Sure I can find it. Hey, here you go. See? The last will and testament of Genasity, written with a calligraphy brush. Of course, I can't read a word of these Japanese squiggles. But I mind it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his own land. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the ASCII papers. Aye, of course they are. Papers written by ASCII, no doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. There's your lot. That's your lot. After all the slatter of that ASCII of an execution, we sent the man's possessions back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Miss Snyder. Just in case. The papers have been entered into the court record. One thing before you go your way, Mrs. Rada. Oh yes, those papers are not to do with Grigson's death. I'd prefer it if you didn't make no mention of them outside this office. Or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it. Consider it an order from the highest levels of our government. I understand. I, Genasity, hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions of wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son Kazuma Asugi in the Empire of Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land, and in the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again. But I regret nothing about my chosen path. What do we have left to ask them? If we're not, you know... Ah, there we go. Okay. This came up in the trial, didn't it? And something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Grigson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle. It's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence and the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me, too. So I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory.
If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner, too.
Of course. The last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Logate Cemetery. By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? Prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life.
Kazuma-sama.
Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today. There we go. Rinosuke, I want to thank you. What for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Absolute clan. Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is that I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Kuruma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Kuruma, is the symbol of the Asui clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really, Kuruma. It does sound formidable, that's for sure. 16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor. Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed? No, Ranosuke. I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zeek's given what happened. But the fact is those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the Inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow then, in the Old Bailey. November, Forensics Laboratory. This place really is creepy, isn't it?
Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death.
Iris. Do you think we could change the subject?
What was that?
Dr. Gory?
don't believe that I have... Yeah, I do not have a voice for her yet. Even though I probably gave her like a little one, you know, when she first appeared. So, let's see.
Until later, then, Lord Strongheart.
What? Until later then, Lord Strongheart.
That was Dr. Scythe.
What? 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 What?
That noise before.
I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them.
Right. Right.
When following the collagen fibers of a dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel.
Yeah, actually, let's...
When following the collagen fibers of the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration?
There we go.
Oh yes, please. I'd love to see. Then, I think you'll do nicely.
Huh? No! No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time? Is that it? Well, we came here to ask questions, so... We actually have, met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember.
Oh, not dead yet.
What?
So Mom said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that.
Well, good. Dr. Scythe has some scruples, at least.
Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us. For the time being, anyway.
For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a ways off. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of making him listen. Dr. Corey, we actually came here to ask you about this.
He was very good.
Good? Sorry? What?
His skin didn't snag my blade once, and very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with.
We can skip those details. But there is one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. That's not my fault. Oh,
Happy to jump. Then please, tell us what happened.
so why doesn't this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail.
I was told not to write it. What? By whom? Male Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here.
Lord Strongheart came?
He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence. It was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on the 1st of November, when the gunshot was heard. But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it?
Dr. Corey, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later you're going to go the same way as your mother. Give it here, then. She's scribbling so furiously. There. You've written...
What? What's she written? What's she written? Tell us.
Indeterminate.
But...
Has been updated in the... What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate?
When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh. So the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy.
What discrepancy?
There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot.
What?
If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off.
Well, yes. What are you really trying to say?
It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Manipulate them.
Is that even possible to do?
Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time,
then only the fish would have started to rot.
With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not.
Today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems.
But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory or some other special places. I don't recall seeing any factories or close like on Fresney Street there. I wonder if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow. What might the actual time of death have been? I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it might have been a day earlier.
No.
In other words, it would corroborate your previous deductions, Narada. That Inspector Gregson was killed a day before his body was discovered at a different location.
Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility?
He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity.
Oh, yes. One other thing. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Scythe, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution.
The professor?
Apparently, you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago.
That's not all Mama did.
Sorry?
My mama carried out the autopsy of Clint Van Zieks as well.
What? Really? Brother of Lord Van Zieks, Professor's final victim.
The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course.
Quite an accomplishment for one man.
That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You amazing autopsy happened right here, in this very room. The professor and Clint Vanzix, they both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table over there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you'd tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gory? The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay Prison's execution chamber and sign a certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama is the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her.
But the execution didn't actually take place.
No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean? I believed in her, in Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her.
You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it.
Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too.
Yes, that's my feeling as well.
There's no doubt there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs, according to what he told us, he was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago?
You mentioned the autopsy of
Clint Vanzix. It was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as the secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy. And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East.
Wait, a visiting student?
It must have been my father, Eugene Mikotoba.
I had no idea Professor Mikotoba had been involved in something so important.
But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor.
So that's how they came to identify Genshinasuke as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more?
Would you like to see the records for yourself?
Would that be all right?
What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed on the V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade.
Was that like thank you? Is that what that said? Yes, thank you. Let's see. Vanzix. That's strange.
What, Miss Nader?
They aren't here. There's nothing under Vanzix.
They must be. Perhaps someone took them away? No one's allowed to take documentary as a professor case out of this room. But you're right. They're gone.
Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember?
It was 2 years ago, a consulting detective came one day, saying that he'd like to see the records.
No, you don't mean...
Herlock Sholmes was his name.
Deep down I knew that was coming.
Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right, can it?
Iris?
Really? I hope you don't mind.
What is it, Iris?
I've just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm going to have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no, there's no need. You and Renault can take your time here. Bye for now then. Good luck. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you?
Have you, Iris?
Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too.
That's the way it usually works, yes.
Was I really don't remember. Anyway, sorry, but I must dash.
Wait, Iris.
I'll brew a report for you when you get home.
What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either.
It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. The next time you come, I'd prefer it if you were ready for dissection.
Can't make any promises. Sorry.
It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zieg's autopsy have disappeared.
But I think we've asked all we came to ask now. Of November, room on Fresno Street. The police are still busily investigating here then.
But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she?
Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing with her boss taught her.
Well, I expect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait?
Actually, there's something different about the room since the last time we were here, isn't there?
We could always use the time to investigate more thoroughly.
This little trunk wasn't here before, was it?
Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs.
There's some initials on the outside, look. T.G. Tobias Gregson, probably. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here.
Oi! What do you think you're doing? That's right, Frankies. Hands off. Gina! Where were you hiding? I don't know. At least on the dead for a few seconds. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got us really high on it. I'm just a wild guess, Gina, but... Whoa, spit it out, hello.
Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial?
What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere, always has. Where have you been the last year?
Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. They should hear them talking as the ordinary. They should be ashamed of themselves.
They're saying
That was the boss who killed all the bludgers. Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing?
yeah,
Apparently the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the Order knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals who got off scot-free. Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Manzeeks, who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction.
well then obviously that was that blooming Reaper giving the orders, weren't it?
But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. I had details about all the crimes that had been paid as the Reaper's work. What?
Did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook?
They wouldn't let me. It's because I'm just an apprentice, apparently. It was me who found it. He was my boss.
That's right.
I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what was it anyway. That's our Gina. So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you?
Well, I see. It's my right to read what he read. And what had he written, Gina?
Dates, times, places, names, and a whole long list of them. All details about the bludgers supposed to have been done in by a Reaper.
But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities.
Exactly. That's what I see. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognised anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld.
Well, yeah,
But there was one name right at the end that was a bit awkward. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st October.
oh, the day before the inspector was found dead.
So, what was the odd name? It wasn't like a name I've ever seen before. It was something like a... No, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way.
Oh dear, what a pity.
There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept popping up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but... Did she say Shin? Eh? What does it mean something? Oh, Van Zeek's knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. We haven't seen him for a little while, have we, Gina?
Oh, of course not.
I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating a lot. The lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before. That would be the undercover investigation into the red-headed league then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You've had some call who was pretending to be him in Jordan. Yes, it was Mr. Virgil who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson. Well, anyway, I ain't the only one turning stuff up. I got my own ways of getting results. And me and partner here get together. There's nothing we can't track down.
Oh, little Toby! He's such a faithful friend. Oh, little Toby, he's such a faithful friend.
So have you tracked anything down then?
What do you think, eh? Of course we have.
Can't you tell me though? Can't tell you though. But his business, eh? Hey, apologies. If you don't have anything else, you know what to turn to, right? Me and the Ellen on you. Right. Because he looks so hellish honest. Gina, about your hellhound there. Chief Inspector Zobian is the pride of the force, he is, eh?
In Japanese, police dog means something quite different, and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it It's a wonderful compliment, it seems. For a canine, at least.
It should be. After all, in the great exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. Hey, it's time for another demonstration of what the superdog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? Do we? Well, who are we trying to track down, though? If anyone, like, I don't think we're trying to track anyone down right now. Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. Chief Inspector said woof to that hello. Yes, I heard.
I think perhaps that particular item didn't excite him very much.
Ain't you got nothing else? I'll have a think. Gina, about your help down there. You want to see another demonstration of his amazing nose, eh?
Well, we're trying to trace Inspector Gregson's movements, so...
Oh, I see. Come on, Uncle. What you got for him? Do we have something? Ah, okay, got it. Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. He might be a little too keen, don't you think? The Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Ah, look what he's gone to.
Oh, my. That truck clearly still has a very strong scent of Inspector Gregson.
In other words, it must have belonged to him. Oh, right. It's his head call, I suppose. You nearly got away with it, too.
You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us?
Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer awareness. That's enough now then, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. We're pretty much out of time, but I just want to finish up this conversation with Gina.
It weren't like that.
It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know it's going to do that to yours.
And that would have happened.
That ain't what happened. Alright, then what did happen? Well, like I said before, they're trying to trace the boss's movements. Sorry, Toby, I have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I told that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich? Not to a bag of chips?
Isano, I believe Gina means the witness.
Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it eaten between the wooden boards of the boss's trunk. You mean when they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in here?
Exactly.
He nabbed it from the scene.
Goodness.
Yeah, the Chief Inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price and the chap wouldn't be needing it anymore, so... hold on.
Yes, that...
I thought it might fetch a good price and the chap wouldn't be needing it anymore, so... But that's all I did. Nothing more, But I don't need to check if it, hey. Stealing the dead boss's stuffed flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime then.
How could they?
So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with it, eh? Well, maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together.
I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you?
What are you on about? I am the police. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it.
Thank you. We shall make a detailed record of our examination of the evidence.
What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden?
Leonardo, be careful. It must be the trunk.
Ah!
Toby, oi, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Leonardo! Leonardo! Gina, quickly, hail a carriage.
And that's where we'll end it for today. Lots of big things going on right now. Very much so. Very much so. Let's see who's online and if there's anyone to raid. Let's see. Oh, can I not do it from this app? Okay. Yeah, do it from this app. So let's do it from here. Oh, yes. Rating Aronok, who's an amazing trans creator. She does great stuff. I will see you all on Saturday for more Deponia. Oh, and just so you know, I'm not doing Tuesday streams for the time being. Just because I have a class on Tuesday nights now. Once it's over, we'll get back to that, for sure. Alright, have a lovely evening, morning, whatever time of day it is for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.